Hello everyone. This is the longer video about why I like to compost in the fall. I'm going to show how I do it in the back garden that I was cleaning out last week. I have a few shorts on harvesting the pumpkins and the corn, but the fall time to me is one of the best times to start actually getting your gardens ready for the spring. And I know a lot of people are like, what? It's cold, or have some other excuse for it. But the more work you do in the fall, the even less work you have to do in the spring, and the earlier you can actually start planting. And that's actually one of the reasons why I like to put compost down in the fall compared to doing it in the spring. And oftentimes I do a little bit mix and match because I have a lot of space that needs to be composted. So right here on this back garden, this is where I planted the corn and the pumpkins this year. I brought in 1 yard of municipal compost just to totally build the soil up a lot more, kind of level it out a little bit, but as well as to bring in the nutrients. Now, the municipal compost can be hit or miss on how good of a quality it is. You'll hear me often say some bad things about it, but overall, with this that I've been buying in, it's a really good compost. It's fairly well broken down. There is quite a bit of still some wood chips and other not so composted down materials in it, but we've had really good luck with it. The one downside that I have with it is stuff like this. This is some plastic. Here's another piece. This happens because everybody who's contributing to the landfill is not paying attention. I shouldn't say everybody, but a lot of people aren't paying attention to what they're raking up, and so you get some plastics in it. But overall, for the price, it's really hard to beat. I paid $10 for this yard. Now, the other thing is, when they pulled it off of the pile this morning, it was steaming and it was really hot to the touch. To me, that tells me there's still a lot of nitrogen in this that hasn't broke down, and if you compost in this thick in the spring, that could actually lead to burning your plants, just similar to throwing out the pellet kind of fertilizers. So I like to bring it in the fall because now this gives a good cover over the top of my ground. It's going to help insulate it. So that means earlier planting. The other thing that it's going to do is it's going to continue to break down, and as the snow and rain pour down on this, it's going to be pulling that nutrients down into the ground. Now in this garden, I haven't ran a tiller over it in close to 4 years. It'll actually be 4 years right now. No, 3 years. Sorry, 3 years is what it is. And I just continue to lay the compost on the top. The soil staying really soft and not clumping up due to the fact that it's got a little bit of this insulation on it. Also, the worms are just starting to come into this and really grow. A few years ago, or 2 years ago, I actually laid down compost like this and then piled in lots of leaves on top of it. I'm hoping to do that again, and then I will just plant right down through the leaves, right into directly into the compost, because this is going to break down and add that nutrients back in. If I did it in the spring, I'm afraid that it would actually, like I said, burn the roots of the plants. But what I did is I just came out, dumped down the compost and raked it out till I had about an inch. Right there is the other dirt. This was probably about 1.5 inches. And my whole goal was just to lay anywhere between 1 inch to 2 inches on top of what's already there. Once again, I'm not going to till this in. I'm trying to make this a no-till garden, and you'll see the results next year when we come back in and plant pumpkins. I don't know if I'm going to do the corn again. We're definitely going to do some summer squash in here and whatever else we fit back here. Now I'm left with all of this left over from the corn. I was originally planning on selling it, bundling it up, but I mean, I'm now almost to the end of October, so I don't know if anybody's going to be buying it. So I'm actually going to take all this right here home with me and compost it down. I threw in some corn stalks into my bin that's at home, and I was amazed at how hot it got just overnight. So this is just going to help add to the homemade compost that I do at home. Now I know a lot of you probably have seen the other short of me collecting leaves. Right now is the time where I get off work. I literally drive around in my little Sebring and fit as many bags as I can, or if I can get the truck, which I occasionally do get the opportunity to get the truck from my wife, I pick up a lot of leaves as well. That's another thing I like to stock up on in the fall, and then I'll just use them out throughout the summer making my homemade compost. I've had people ask me, with compost so cheap from your dump, why do you spend the time to do it at home? And one of the things that my home compost gets that you don't see often in the landfill compost, and that's the variety of different ingredients. Because we're using all of our food scraps at home. I'm putting in my mate loose leaf tea. I'm putting in anything that goes bad in our refrigerator, like lettuce, berries, apples, apple cores, banana peels. I'm putting in a lot of that green stuff that frankly the dumps, or I should say the municipal places, don't get that much of. So that gives it a nice variety of different ingredients. The other thing that I throw a lot in is eggshells. And we eat a lot of eggs since we have chickens at my house. And all those eggshells go directly into my compost bin. That's adding extra phosphorus right directly back to the soil. I also throw in my chicken manure and other material like that that I have around, everything from my garden. And overall, that gives a wide variety of ingredients, which ends up turning into a better compost. Whereas most of the stuff that you get from the municipalities is a lot of wood chips and a lot of grass clippings and with some other garden debris. But the majority of it really comes down to wood chips and grass clippings, which still makes an okay compost. But if you think of it like a diet of a human diet, if you're only eating 2 or 3 different things, you're not going to get the full level of nutrition as compared to eating a well-balanced diet of lots of different types of vegetables and lots of different types of meats. That's how I see my compost, as being a well-rounded, but you can't beat the price for large areas when it comes to the municipal compost. And overall, it's a pretty good compost. Here in Logan, I know they get some other ingredients because they allow people to drop off their horse manure. I think they have people bring in horse manure. I know that I've seen some straw there, but still, when I show up to pick up any of the stuff, I'm seeing large amounts of lawn clippings being dropped off because you can drop them off there for free. So you don't get this huge array of different materials. The other thing is, as I showed in that other video, the plastics. You get that all the time with this municipal compost. It is like one reason why I'm half tempted to kind of stop if I can start making a lot of my own compost, just because that plastic debris is just mixed without it. Candy wrappers, anything that you think that somebody just breaks up. So for those of you who do send your leaves and any other green waste off to the dumps, I encourage you to be careful and make sure you're pulling out all the trash. It's so easy not to. But it really helps us that do use it to not have to worry about that stuff. Our municipality actually tests the compost for the microplastics that you may have heard in the news that can sometimes contaminate it. So far we haven't had any contamination that I'm aware of, but that's also something I still am kind of leery about when it comes to municipal compost. But again, $10 a yard, it's like really hard to not beat it when not want to use it when I'm doing such a large space like I showed earlier in this video. I will always transplant and start plants with a potting mix that I make with my own compost. And anytime I come out here and transplant, we always bring a lot of my homemade compost and transplant in. The plants seem to do phenomenally with it. And I think it's because it's getting a nice mixture of everything. So that's my kind of pros and cons with the municipal versus your homemade compost. For anyone that's just doing small amounts of gardening at their house, I highly recommend they make their own. But if you're going to cover a huge area, look at using the municipal. You can buy in bulk composts that have a lot of different ingredients from commercial companies. One here locally is called Miller's, and they're a really good company. They make a really good compost, but you're looking at $100 a yard, 10 times the cost. So it gets kind of like, do you really want that one? If I was to buy a compost in like that, I'd be a lot more careful on how I use it. I wouldn't be doing a large coverage area. I'd be focusing on the areas where I know I'm going to plant and where I know the plants are going to be. With this stuff, as you see, I just spread it out everywhere. That allows the roots just to basically go anywhere, and allows for a lot greater coverage. Anywho, I hope you, for all my new subscribers, my channel's really started to pick up the last few months. I know that I don't make videos that often, but I appreciate those who stick around and do go and see them all. But for all my new ones, I hope that this is interesting to you, and I hope that you can learn something from it. And if you disagree with me, totally put your disagreement in the compost. In the comments. See, I'm just thinking compost because I love it. But put your disagreements in the comments. Let's have a discussion about it. Be friendly, you know, be nice. But I like to hear other people's inputs and so I can learn more, and so others can learn more. If you find it interesting enough to share, please go ahead and share. I really like what I'm doing, and I hope others get something out of it as well. I do like to use this more as a blog of what did I do in the past. I find me going back and looking at the videos and be like, oh yeah, that's what I did in that garden. Because I have a lot of little spaces where I try different things in. But thank you for watching, and I hope to make a couple more this fall, and enjoy yeah.